logic, in this part of logic, in proofs, one necessary but not sufficient condition is learning and memorizing the rules, right? All the rules on the inside cover of your book. But that's not sufficient because so much of what we're doing is seeing big, long, complex formulas as substitution instances of those rules, right? So you have to see, right? I don't know. This is just recap, but. You need to be able to see these two formulas. So you need to be able to see those two formulas, and okay, there's 3 tildes here and 4 here, right? And think to yourself, those two formulas, that is a substitution instance of modus tollens, right? That is, you need to grasp these two formulas as P hook Q and not Q, which are the two premises of the rule for modus tollens, okay? So learning to, developing mastery at applying the rules, right? Developing skills in applying the rules, right? Using them in proofs, which is the whole game, basically, is learning to see that and seeing a modus tollens waiting to happen. So anyway, that's why these questions are important, and well, hopefully you're all very good at it by now, but if you can't do these, well, you're in trouble. Okay, so this is the form. Are each of these statements instances of this form? As I stressed when we did these, the way to answer the question is to verbalize the form, right? You verbalize the form, and that is a statement of what the form is. And then you ask of each statement here whether it is or is not of that form, as you verbalized it. Right, so what does this form say? It says, what is this form? It says, right, P hook, not brackets, Q and R, but what, say it in words like this. It's a conditional where the consequent of a conditional is a negated conjunction, right? That's what the form is. So you ask of each, it's this simple. What is this? Right, what is the form? A conditional where the consequent, antecedent consequent, the conditional where the consequent is a negated conjunction. That's the form. Okay? So now you just ask of each of these statements, is it that thing? Is this a conditional with a negated conjunction? Right? And if it is, right, no matter how complex a one of those things it is, if it is, then it's of this form, right? So remember, P, Q, R are statement variables taking as substitution instances statements of any form, no matter how complex, right? So you can substitute in for P, Q, and R, right? For any legal formula, so long as it's legal, it's a correct substitution instance. Okay, so let's go through them. A, oh, did I miss a bracket? Sorry. Should be like so. Sorry about that. Okay, so first question, what's the major operator of this statement? Yep, it is indeed the hook. So this is a conditional. Check, right? So, right. Statement of this form, what is this? It is a conditional. That's the first thing you say. There's more to the form, right? It also, for a statement to be of this form, it also has to be the case that the consequent of the conditional has to be a negated conjunction. But the very first condition to be of this form is that it's a conditional, because this is a conditional. Okay, good, this is a conditional. Next question, is the consequent of the conditional a negated conjunction? Yes, it is, right? Just looking at the consequent, okay, you've got a negated conjunction. Boom, right? So yes, that is of the form. B hook C is my Q, right? B hook C is my substitution instance for the statement variable Q, right? So yes, that is of the form, right? Because the answer to the question is statement A. Is it a conditional with a negated conjunction for a consequent? Is it a conditional where the consequent is a negated conjunction? Yes, it is. Okay, moving on. Let's do B. First, let's check if it's a conditional. Is B a conditional? Yes, it is. Right? Major operator is this guy. Okay, next question. Is the consequent of this conditional a negated conjunction? No, it's not. Right? You've got brackets here. First of all, it's not a negation. Another question you can ask is, right, what is the form? It's a conditional where the consequent is a negation. That's got to be true. Here the consequent is not a negation. The consequent is in fact a disjunction, and since it is a disjunction, it's not a negation. Okay? So no, this is not of the form. Right? What is this thing? Oh, this is a conditional where the consequent is a disjunction. Right? That's a true statement of its form. Another thing you could say is this is a conditional where its consequent is a disjunction of negations. Further specification of its form. But anyway, it's not this. It's not a conditional where the consequent is a negated conjunction. How about C? C is long. Can you see the whole thing? Yep, it ends with not a there. So is this of this form? Is this a conditional with a negated conjunction for a consequent? First of all, where's the major operator of this thing? Okay, pair the brackets, right? That with that, that with that. Yes, this is the major operator, so first condition satisfied. It is a conditional. So now, and it's fine that this whole long thing is this formula, right? This is a perfectly legal substitution instance of my P, right? So it is a P hook something. So far, so good, right? So I don't have to pay attention to that, or so long as I look at what that is of, that it does so far fit the form. But what about the consequent? Is the consequent a negated conjunction? No, it is not, right? First of all, it's not a negation, right? The form, P hook not Q and R, the form is a negation. The form of this consequent is not a negation. It is rather a conjunction, right? That's the major operator, right? It's a conjunction and not a negation, so no. C is not of that form.